Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
I am that dude, Bodkins. Patty to patty. It's ridiculous. No way. There's nobody else out there. He's your guy. Give a big round of applause for the one and only BodkinShow. I'm going to repeat that again, folks. I didn't stutter. Welcome to the Bodkins Show. Good evening, everybody, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Woo! Hopefully you are semi-so coherent on this St. Patty's Day, or maybe you went out and had your drink on last night, took it easy today because you got to work in the morning, or maybe you're still drinking from last night into tonight. And so hopefully you're coherent because we got a special great episode of the Bodkin Show this evening. This man, we've circled the same circles for a while. He is a big Packers fan, a lot of energy, just like myself. I think he is probably more, if I had to say, on the more optimistic side of Green Bay, especially when it came to last year. I'm always, I'm a ride or die. I always have been, but I'm ups and downs. It's a roller coaster all the time. But that's just who I am. I think we stink. I live game to game, day by day. I'm a checkers, not a chess player. But this guy, our guest tonight, is very enthusiastic, always believes the Packers are going to do great things. So why not have a guy who's rocking green, more green than I do on a regular day basis on St. Patrick's Day? Give it up for our guest tonight, host of RevTrevNFL. You'll see him also on NFL Outdated's Freezing North podcast. Give it up for my guy, Packers fandom, RevTrev, baby.
Hey, thanks for having me on. As you just said, I love the Green Bay Packers. I have been a fan for decades. I've been a fan for so long, and I am faithful. I am the faithful fan. Been through it all, and so love it. And actually, I feel very privileged to be a Packers fan because we do something that a lot of franchises don't do. We win.
Amen to that. Now, we've had some down years as a Packers fan. I've been through and through. I would tell you that for me, let's start there, Trev. When did you become a Packers fan and how? Because you're from Canada, correct? Is that?
Yeah. I'm
right?
on the west coast of Canada. And
so far away from Lambeau Field. Far away.
Oh, dude, like as far as you can get, basically. Here's the cool thing. Like when people say, I actually don't tell people that because most people think I live in Wisconsin. Like that's how passionate I am.
I think the fact that you don't live in Wisconsin makes it even better because then you chose to be the Packers fan. And I'm not saying people in Wisconsin don't choose to be Packers fans, but you're just kind of born into it, right? You're brought up that way. It's the team. You could have picked, as a Canadian, you could have picked any of the 30 other one teams in the NFL. You picked Green Bay, my man.
Yeah, so I lived the closest to Seattle. I used to have season tickets to the Seahawks, to the Cowboys, and the Chargers all at the same time. And but I like the Seahawks, but where I grew up, I am actually near Vancouver area. That's the area I live in, and so I'm a Canucks fan. And so what happens is that's where I was born into. You just become a Canucks fan. But when it came to the NFL, I'm sitting there like, I don't have to choose. I'm still far away enough from Seattle that I don't have to. Now, I'd still class this where I live as Seahawk country because it extends into Canada. There's so many Canadians that have season tickets. It's crazy. And so I would say they're my second favorite team if I had a second favorite team. But I was probably 15 years old. My youth pastor was a huge NFL fan. I had followed it a tiny bit, but he was a diehard into it, watched it every Sunday. And I started watching it because of him. And I started watching Brett Favre come from behind game after game after game. And I'm like, I just fell in love. I fell in love with the Green Bay Packers, loved the culture, the big trophies named after us, the whole thing that I didn't even know we were Titletown at the time. And so that's how I fell in love with the Green Bay Packers. And my very first ever Green Bay Packers game was I was in a conference in San Diego. And one of my friends said, hey, why don't I think the Chargers are in town this weekend. Let's go to the game. It happened to be Green Bay. And get this, they hadn't been there since 1976 or something like that. I was the only day that we had off. We go to the stadium, Brett Favre, Amon Green, Donald Driver. Listen, we crushed them 35-3. There was 30 to 40,000 Green Bay Packers fans in the building, and it was awesome. And so that's part of it. I hope I'm so passionate. Sometimes I'm yelling, and I hope I'm not too loud.
Hey, the crowd is used to somebody yelling around here. I mean, we've been on a few shows together, so you know how I talk and how I operate. So, I appreciate Rev. I mean, I as somebody who loves the Packers and speaks with emotion all the time, I love it. So I love the energy and love the passion, because I feel like that's what we need. That's what we need in the podcast world. That's what we need in life. That's what we need in the world. It just dawned on me. So you're a reverend? Is that how Rev Trev comes around?
Yeah, I've been a reverend for 24 years. Right this moment, I still have my credentials. I'm just not in a church right now. Yeah. So that's where it comes. Reverend Trevor. And that's another thing. People are like, how can you be a reverend? And what? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a normal human being like everyone else. I'm just smarter because I'm a Packers fan. Like, that's all it is.
Amen to that. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. So, so you started watching the Packers. You said your youth pastor was watching football, and then the Brett Favre era. That's kind of same time. My dad, now how I got a Packers fan is my dad was a Packers fan, so it's kind of the team we always just kind of grew up watching. But watching Brett Favre, to me, was one of the best players you could ever watch. Like, he played the game with a lot of enthusiasm and joy that I feel like most players or most people don't play. So it was great. Reggie White, obviously the prime minister of defense, was a lot of fun to watch as well. So that's kind of the time era of like 95 when they won that first Super Bowl. I remember really kind of getting behind them at that point in time, and really, the year before that, they lost to the Cowboys, I believe, in the NFC Championship game. So that was kind of my stardom as a Packers fan, and I've enjoyed it ups and downs since. Favre leaving, now Aaron leaving, now the Jordan Love era. I do want to backtrack. So what made you start getting into your podcast and things like that before we get too much into Packer fandom?
You know what? I just think at the end of the day, I just love talking about it. And I have friends that we just sit down and we just talk football for hours. And I'm like, we should just record this. This is actually interesting conversation, right? It's not, and we have conversations where it's not I have such a hard time with people in every fan base. Okay. So I'm not saying it's one fan base or the other, but what they do is they have a conversation and the conversation doesn't go the way they're going. So they just turn to insults. And I felt like that's just not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for conversations where you can push back and forth. And that's why I like being on the Friesen 4 NFC North podcast, because we sit there and go, they would say, oh, I hate the Packers. Why do you hate the Packers? So tell me why. And it's because you're better than us. Okay, well, that's a bad reason. But yeah, okay.
You're supposed to hate it. But you're supposed to hate it. That's what I look at it as.
Right? We live rent-free in their minds, bro. I do not care about the Bears. I don't care about the Lions. I don't care about the Vikings. And the only time I care about them is when we play them, right? And it's not that I don't that's great. You're a franchise, wonderful. We're rivalry, but I'm not thinking, oh, I can't wait to beat the Lions this week or this year. I'm thinking I want to make the playoffs. I want to win playoff games. I want to win Super Bowls. That's what I'm thinking. I'm telling you, Andy just said on his podcast yesterday, our goal is to beat Green Bay. That is a loser's mentality.
It is, but that's their Super Bowl to beat the
Packers.
And
it's just sad, isn't it?
It is, but I do say maybe it's because I have some friends. Like my best friend is a diehard Bears fan. So I do enjoy beating them more than I enjoy beating other teams because they are our rival. But you know what? In the words of Aaron Rodgers, Trev, it's not much of a rivalry if it's one-sided, right? So if only one team wins all the time. So there's that.
10 in a row, bro. 10 in a row. So the most in the NFL.
Yeah. So I do enjoy beating them and extending them. Even this year was a little bit even sweeter, I think. I want to talk like this year for me, Trev. This was one of my favorite years as a Packers fan because I included as this is like there wasn't a seat at the table, right? Everybody said you're not allowed to sit here. You're not allowed to sit here. You're not going to sit here. Can't sit here. Everybody wrote us off. And what did we do? We came in with the youngest team in the NFL, and we slapped everybody across the face and said, guess what? We fucking sitting here now. And then we made a seat. So those years to me, when there's not a seat at the table and everybody has counted you out, are funner years as a fan to me than they are like when the expectations the last few years with Aaron Rodgers where it was Super Bowl or bust. Because I felt like there was so much pressure. And I know I'm just a fan, so I don't really know the pressure as the players, but like, just, you're like, man, we're supposed to win. We're supposed to win every game or, go 13-3 or whatever. But when you're not supposed to, I enjoy those years as the underdog than I do as the favorite. I don't know how you felt about this year.
Well, this year, I'll be completely honest with you because it's just like I was so stressed out all year.
I was the opposite. I was not stressed out at all.
I'm sitting there and like, I'm not kidding you when I say this. Like, I noticed myself, I'm sitting there and my hands are clenched. I was always like, just like this. Like, I was like, come on, don't suck. We got to win this game. We got to be in it. And like, I mean, there was weeks where it was bad, right? But
yeah,
like,
we had a run there.
I didn't know what to expect at this year. And I'm like, I think we're going to be decent. And I predicted that we were going to make the playoffs. I said we're going to be in wild card and we're going to have a good chance of making the playoffs. That was my actual prediction. But I was still like going through the ups and downs of the emotions. Like, please let Jordan Love be good. Please. I mean, we got like, I just thought, okay, all rookies or sophomores.
Yeah.
How are we going to be good? Like, we can't be good. And then all of a sudden you start watching. I'm like, man, they're so much better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
And like Jordan Love exceeded everyone's expectations, but I had decent, like when I put my expectations out, people were laughing at me. And I'm like, he was better than I said. So yeah, that's how I went.
To me, I said this past year was 6 wins was the floor. I said Aaron Rodgers won 6 games his first year as a starter, and that was a better team than this team, right? Like if you go back and you look at the roster going up and down when Aaron Rodgers' first year starter, they went 6-10. I said, I'll take 6-10 at that point in time. I just need to see some promise. I said the floor, talking to a lot of guys, that was my floor, talking to some people who were like propping Jordan Love up. They're like, nah, I think you guys could make 10 wins. So I said, okay, well, the ceiling would be 10, floor is 6. I'll be happy. Even if we went 6, I had no pressure this year. I was the exact opposite of you because whatever happened, happens. Like I wanted question marks. Hey, is he the guy? You know what I mean? Is Love the guy? Is Matt LaFleur the guy? Like how much of the last few years was that Rodgers, LaFleur? Like we're going to find out a lot about this team. That's what I was doing. And about halfway through the season, that's when we were real murky and we were struggling. And at that point in time, I was coming on here in all my other shows and saying, I don't know. Like, I don't know whose fault this is. I don't know if it's Jordan Love's fault because they're not throwing the ball down the field at all. Like everything, if you look back, those first 8 games was like real short, right? I was like, I don't know if it's Love's fault because he can't throw the ball deep down the field, or is it Matt LaFleur's fault because he's not calling the plays, or is it or is it Goody's fault because he didn't get the receivers, right? Like he has no. So I was searching for answers, and then second half of the season, all the answers were followed. And really, I think it was Matt LaFleur. He kind of came out and said, I got to do better at letting this kid play and stop putting the chains on him. And once that happened, this team went on a run. I was always skeptical of the defense as long as Joe Barry was coaching this defense, and now he's gone, and we got a new DC.
I'm pumped, too. I mean, so glad Joe Barry's gone, honestly.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing, dude. We didn't even get We didn't even get better. We got younger in the offseason, and we got a better defensive coordinator, in my opinion. Like, so everyone's like, "Oh, you're going to regress." I mean, maybe only in circles. I'm like, no,
the only person that's saying that is Andy. The only person that's saying that is Mr. NFL Outdated. And that's just because he's a troll, Trev. You just got he loves to tag me, and I'm sure I know he tags you and all this Packer hate. He just wants to troll. At one time I said, hey, next time you want to piss off Packers Nation because you're saying dumb shit, will you leave me out of it? Because I don't need my Twitter and my phone just lighting up every 30 seconds. You just got to let him be. We all know he's a troll. You just got to let him go troll the people that are acceptable to his trollness.
But I love Andy, and I highly respect him like you do. He's pretty down about Fields getting traded, bro. So he's pretty down about it. So and I was on his podcast trying to cheer him up. So
well, I mean, and speaking of the Bears, the Fields is gone. It looks like it's Caleb Williams our bust here.
Yeah, and Andy's like still like he was so pro Justin Fields that he's still there. Like he can't get on the Caleb Williams bandwagon. I'm like, dude, you just got to jump on because at the end of the day, that's who they're picking. And if they don't, they need to trade down because it's absolutely ridiculous. They could trade down to 3. I don't know about you. Do you do the mock drafts on your phone and stuff?
No, I'm not a mock drafter when it comes to the. I'm a mock drafter. I am not a mock drafter. I don't care about any of it, like because I don't know. I don't know shit about fuck, Trev. Like that's just when it comes to college players. Like I don't. Yep. I understand who the top players are because I watch enough to know, but I don't know who's going to go where or what. Like, and I believe everything's all smoke screens. Now I said this: if I was the Bears, I would have called the Commanders. Said, what do you want for give us, what do you want for number 1? Like, we'll give you number 1. What are you willing to offer us? And trade it down. And I probably would have kept Fields. Now, that was before the Keenan Allen trade. Once the Keenan Allen trade was made, you knew they weren't going to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. And that was really the writing on the wall.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I just think you can't mess this up. So if you're going to trade Fields away, you can no longer trade the pick away, because you got to pick your guy. Now, if you're not picking Caleb Williams, if that's not the guy you're going to pick, if you're going to, I think some people want Daniels, right? Yeah. If you want Daniels, then do exactly what you just said. Do Daniels because all you have to do is make sure that the next guy, like, so it's So it's Washington's 2, Patriots are 3. I would call the Patriots and say, listen, what can you give me? I would call the Washington Commanders and say, what would you give me if I'm not taking Caleb Williams? And then what I would do, or I would trade with another one down farther and pick Caleb Williams and say, kind of like the Eli Manning and the Rivers trade.
Phillip Rivers, yeah,
and do that and make sure you get your okay, we're gonna switch picks. I'm getting Daniels or whoever they want to say. It may whoever, I don't know.
It looks like
should be the real deal.
Yeah, and what I tell people all the time, what you got to know about all this draft stuff, it's more smoke than a Snoop Dogg contest. You know what I mean? Like a Snoop Dogg concert. Like there's more smoke than that. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is. Like I don't believe anything. Like I don't, unless it comes from like Ian Rappaport or Tom Pelissero or maybe even Adam Schefter. You know, like if it doesn't come from them 3, I pretty much don't believe any of it. Because it's just for the simple fact because it's just all the smoke screens. They're and then you'll get people like that. You'll get the Bears aren't interested in Caleb Williams. What's that supposed to do? Well, that'll drive up some trade. You know what I mean? Somebody to call them and say, hey, we heard you're not interested in Caleb Williams. We're willing to, you know what I mean? It's all people putting out different stuff so everybody will call and get on the phone calls. I do like what the Bears did. I do like the Keenan Allen. I mean, if Caleb Williams comes in there with Keenan Allen, he's already coming into a better team than Justin Fields ever played with.
I agree. And you know what's funny is right now it's the Bears season. It's the off season, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't talk about these guys very much. Let's be honest. I mean, they're relevant right now because they have the first pick. They're relevant because they have pick number 9, right? So I think it's really funny. I do think it's super interesting with them picking 1 and 9 and they're in our division. I am interested in what they do. The Vikings are at 11. We were at what, 23, 25?
Yeah, but we got what do we got, like eight picks or 10? We're loaded in the more in the back end than we are in the front end, obviously.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to trade down though, or trade back?
Are we? No, I'd like to see us with that pick take Cooper DeJean because he can be corner or safety, and we need both. I
like that.
I know we just signed Xavier McKinney, and I like Cooper mainly because I'm an Iowa Hawkeye fan too. So anytime one of your guys in college, anytime one of your college guys go to your pro team, Kyle Van Ness or not Kyle Van Ness, but Van Ness last year. Like those type of guys. We've had Micah Hyde, and they've talked about a Micah Hyde reunion even. I've kind of read that. Who knows how true that is, though. So I would enjoy Cooper DeJean coming to the Packers at that pick. You spoke of the Vikings. I think they're going to package their 2 firsts to move up for a quarterback.
I do too.
They got to.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, they have to because they see too many teams have played their hands. This is what I don't like. Why in the world would you trade Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick? It's absolutely the stupidest thing you could have done because you showed your hand. And and think about it. Okay, let's just say Caleb Williams comes in and he's not that good. You had a guy who knows the system, all that kind of stuff. They're absolutely ridiculously dumb, in my opinion, by doing that. Like, if you got a 3rd-round pick, a 2nd-round pick, cool. But a 6th-round pick is absolutely nothing, bro. Like, a 6th-round pick, you don't even expect to play in the NFL. And that's what we went. That's what they went and got. Like, how dumb can this franchise be? Like,
so to their credit, and they didn't have to do this. You're right. They didn't have to. Is that Fields wanted to go to Pittsburgh? Like 4 different teams called, other than Pittsburgh. It's being reported, and Fields' people said we want to go to Pittsburgh. The Bears made it happen. And I like the move for him to sit behind Russ. It seems like Russ is on a 1-year deal. Who knows what happens there? So you're in the building. You get maybe some of the best coaching staff and one of the best organizations all football in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
You learn from there and you grow from there. So he's in a great organization. I love the Steelers organization. They remind me a lot of Green Bay as far as how they handle things.
And I love the last time the Steelers were in the Super Bowl. It's my favorite Super Bowl of all time.
Amen to that.
Okay,
enjoyed
my question
that.
is then what other teams were interested did he want to go to?
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't release those teams. So Rappaport, one of them was saying that a team was with a pretty bona fide starter. I think somebody like the Rams probably, or somebody that maybe's got an injury-prone quarterback. Maybe the Jets, I could see somebody like that bringing them in. I mean, to have as a sturdy backup. So the Steelers had enough quarterback problems this year, and they solved all of them and getting Wilson and Fields for, a bag of balls.
Yeah, I hear you.
Speaking,
I just think it's weird that we have Wilson and Fields at the same time. You have 2 starting quarterbacks on the same team. Like that's just so dumb.
People don't view Fields as a starting quarterback. The general managers in the league and coaches in the league are not viewing him as a starting quarterback, and that's why he went for a 6th. It was being floated out there that everybody's kind of soured on that kid, and I feel bad for him because I think he's got some. Playing skills that I think he could be a starter in this league. I just think that he's gone through so many changes throughout his development that he hasn't been able to develop right.
Yeah. I think the NFC North is going to be very good next year.
I do too. I was thinking about that today. The Vikings, they kind of got a rookie. Yeah, almost had $100 million cap next year. Well, $50 million of that is going to go to Justin Jefferson. Dan, I mean, he's gonna require the bank. I've heard a rumor, Trev, on speaking of JJ, the Bengals called the Vikings, offered T. Higgins, who is demanded a trade, and 2 firsts for Justin Jefferson. I don't know why the Vikings didn't take that.
Wow. Yeah, I would have done that.
2 firsts and T. Higgins.
Wow.
For Justin Jefferson.
I mean, 1 first for a wide receiver is a good deal.
Yeah, we didn't even get that for Devontae Adams.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. I mean, but I think the reason why they didn't take it is because they're not trading Justin Jefferson for nothing. There's all the rumors are swirling that they're going to trade him, but they're like, there's no way. Why would we trade arguably one of the best wide receivers in the game?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're going to – if they were not taking that trade, you're probably not taking any trade. And then maybe, I do think they're going to have to get a quarterback. They got some answers. The Lions are going to be good again. And the Bears should improve, we think. Who knows what happens there. Back to our Packers, though. Thoughts on Josh Jacobs? And unfortunately, my wife's favorite player is Aaron Jones. Now, she's only been a fan for the last 5 years since we've been together. So Jonesy's always been kind of her guy, and she was heartbroken that Jones left. And, what's your thoughts on Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs coming to town?
Yeah, I'm sad that Aaron Jones is gone. I love watching him play. He not only is he a great athlete, and I think he's elite. I do think that he's the kind of teammate you want. He's the character guy you wanted, right? And so yeah. I had a hard time when we did that, but now it's over. He's moved on. It sucks that he went to the Vikings, but at the end of the day, if you would have told me we're releasing Aaron Jones, who do you want? And you told me that Josh Jacobs was coming, I would be thrilled. I think
4 years younger, it makes perfect sense, I said.
Well, it does. The only thing is both of them have some injury history, right? And so they're both a bit of a gamble, but the youngerness, he's got a smaller contract. But this guy, not only does he make people miss, he is a bit of a bully. He's a bit of a wrecking ball. And he's not Derrick Henry size, but he's still like you look at him, he's like, whoa, that guy's solid.
Stats say he's one of the hardest running backs to tackle. Like as far as he's got the most missed tackles and things like that.
The only thing that's different about him than Aaron Jones in regards to stat wise is they have around the same amount of catches. He's just never caught a receiving touchdown. Never.
That's wild.
And now that it's going to start this year probably. But isn't that wild to think after 4 years you've never had a receiving touchdown? But that doesn't bother me, man. We're so loaded at wide receiver. We don't need Aaron Jones or Josh Jacobs to score touchdowns from the backfield. Of course, that one that Aaron Jones came out the backfield against the Bears and hit that route and he hit him in stride and then he was gone and he ended up pulling his hammy on. That's just impressive, next level elite, right? But Josh Jacobs, he's got that kind of ability when he gets the ball in his hand. So whether he's catching the ball or not, he's got that really I always think this. Remember Shady McCoy? Shady McCoy would every single game make NFL defenders who make millions of dollars, who've done this their entire lives, literally miss him so much they wouldn't even get a hand on him. That's how much the juking was unbelievable, next level. I think that these guys have those abilities. You've seen some of the highlights. You're like, Josh Jacobs just he's big and he made people miss. How does he make people miss that much? I think fans are in for a treat, my friend.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right on that, Trev. I think we are. I would have liked to seen Aaron Jones stick around. I mean, when he went to the Vikings 1 year, $7 million, I was like, shit, I feel like Green Bay could have done that. But I also get them coming, them asking for him to take a pay cut for the third year in a row and him saying, nah, man, I've taken enough for pay cuts. So I get it. Just like Keenan Allen when the Chargers went and said, hey, you mind taking a pay cut? And he said, nah, I just had my best year of my career. I'm not taking a pay cut. So they shipped him out of town. But
if you think about it, okay, so your salary, whatever you make, and if your company came to you and said, we would like you to take half next year, you're like, no. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not into that.
Yeah, me neither.
Because you're going to produce whatever your wage is right now. That's what you're going to produce, right? That's what I'm going to produce at my job. I've agreed to this wage. I'm going to produce that much. And then the audacity of a company to come and say, could you take half when they can afford it? They can't afford it.
Yeah.
And I'm not crapping on the Packers. What I'm saying is I'm with you. Aaron Jones, I wouldn't have done that. It's like I've already
No,
done
I don't begrudge any player who says like, "Hey, nah, I ain't taking no pay cut." Now they got to deal with the ramifications afterwards, and being cut or being traded is one of them things that could happen, and they got to know that. But also at the same time, like, hey, you're gonna find maybe more money on the open market or something like that, or like Keenan Allen's keeping his salary and he's just gonna play for a different team. Like that was his choice at that point in time. So you got to living with it. But I would say the same thing 9 out of 10 times, unless we're like on the cusp of just winning a ring. And then maybe you take that pay cut to try to get, one to catch the ring. And speaking, you mentioned the receivers, Trev. I was just thinking this is probably the first year in, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years where I haven't heard anybody say we need to go out and get a wide receiver.
Oh, dude, we are not drafting a wide receiver.
Or we have to draft a wide receiver, right?
No.
Like, this is the first time maybe in 5 years where everybody's like, you know what? These kids are really good. Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed. It starts with them two, I feel like. Who knows if Christian Watson can ever get this hammy situation situated right? That would be great. And then what's the other kid's name? I always forget his name. Alan asked me the other day who went. He's like our third or fourth wide receiver. Wicks, yeah, Dontavian Wicks. I really like him.
Awesome.
Even Malik Heath, who's like our fifth wide receiver. I enjoy him a lot too.
Bo Melton?
Bo Melton, yeah. Plus you got the two young,
bro.
Yeah, plus you got the two young tight ends who really came up and developed nicely last year. This team is offensively, I think I do think we need to add a little bit of offensive line help just to kind of beef it up a little bit more. But what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000%. We shouldn't even be looking at a wide receiver at this stage. Not even free agency, nothing. We do not need anybody. Even injury, we still have guys who will step up and perform. I'm super impressed with our young core. I agree, though, we always need to continually draft linemen. And for some reason, we just turn over linemen, and it's like no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, for example, remember when Lindsey was our starting center?
Yeah.
And he went to the Chargers, and and he made a huge boatload of money. We're like, how are we going to, center's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like protecting the quarterback right out the bat, the whole thing. And it's like, we didn't miss a beat. We didn't even know he was gone. And so, like, I love Bach, right? I love Bach. I think he's awesome. I do think he's had a significant injury. How did we do awesome without him? We
for
just
pretty much primarily 3 years, though.
Guys.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm sitting there and going, wow, I'm just so impressed at the management on how we produce these offensive lines, where you look at other teams and they literally struggle getting offensive lines, and they struggle for years because of it. So I think we'll draft at least one or two. But do you think we need a tackle, or do you think it's a guard that we need?
Either or. I'll take it. I think Tom did really well. Zach Tom did well. I mean, you got Jenkins as a guard, though, so I would maybe a tackle just to kind of, you know what I mean? Bakhtiari's gone, but I mean, he didn't play most of that. He hasn't played but 3, you know what I mean? A handful of games in 3 years since he tore that ACL. Just never been right. I don't know if he'll ever be right. His career may be over. And just like, I do a show with Mr. First Down, so he's a big Titans guy, and it's like him and Taylor Lewan together were like kind of entered the stratosphere as the best tackles together and got paid at the same time. And then it's like, just like that, their careers were over just like that too, because of torn ACLs. Yeah,
sad because like these guys have done so well. They're so dominant at their position. But I just don't, it just blows my mind how we just turn over linemen and we just have this cohesive group and they find a way. I mean, there were a few times this year where it was getting kind of spicy, and when Jordan, any quarterback has to run for their life, it doesn't go well. Right?
Yeah,
that's why Justin Fields, all the Justin Fields haters, it's actually unfair because he was running for his life most of those games. I think he's a better quarterback than his numbers say, but like when Jordan Love had to do that, it was gross. Like those were the 5 games that were really bad because we couldn't block. And once we figured out the blocking scene, all of a sudden it's like, wow, Jordan Love's good.
Yeah,
he had time.
And once he started throwing the ball down the field a little bit more, the offensive line, they started the last half of those season really started clicking. I mean, we did have the stinker against Tampa Bay that I thought might have ended our season, but luckily, and once we beat the Bears to get into the playoffs, I said, whatever happens in that Dallas game happens. Like, I'm satisfied we're here. And then you go in and we dominate Dallas and really should have beat the 49ers. We led most of that game. But for whatever reason, Trev, the NFC West has been our nemesis for, I don't know, the better part of 2 decades, I feel like.
Yeah, but you know what? The future is bright in Green Bay, bro. It is absolutely bright. All these people are like, you need to pump the brakes. You're going to regress. No, I'm hitting the gas. We literally, and that's part of the reason we made the playoffs that Aaron Rodgers didn't do last year. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we make the playoffs. So all those young kids just got playoff experience. Never mind playoff experience. Beat the crap out of Dallas in Dallas. We dominated Dallas. Then we go in and literally contend with the 49ers. Our Achilles heel would be our playoff nemesis of how many years, right? And if you think about that, all that buildup was absolutely like, how does that not just go great for going for our future is so bright, bro. It is so bright. And not only that, we got a better defensive coordinator. We're going to have another draft to get better. And then we went and got 2 free agents. We never do that.
No.
Huge splashes. And I'm thinking, people are like, oh, you need to pump the brakes. Get lost. You don't pump the brakes. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl, but we could. Yeah, I mean, we could be there.
I think it's playoffs or bust.
It has to be of being competitive and a contender. And then once you're in that realm, anything can happen.
Yeah, I think it's playoffs or bust again. And what do you make? To me, what do you make of a lot of Matt LaFleur hate at times? And I don't understand it. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's the same as Mike Tomlin. Like, why are people talking like that? Like, what else do you want the guy to do? He's got 13 wins. Like, oh, it's because of Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so fine. Aaron Rodgers is gone. Guess what? We just made the playoffs with an inexperienced quarterback that people said is terrible. Our fan base was split on the guy. He never wavered one time on Jordan Love. When our fan base was like, okay, I'm not sure if he's the guy. Put Clifford in. We got to see what we have. He never once suggested that.
No, that'd have been crazy talk.
Well, no, but I mean, a lot of people were talking like that, and Matt LaFleur was steady. He's like, no, I've seen it in practice. I know that, maybe we put Jordan in a bad situation, or like you never ever heard him say, yeah, Jordan really sucked there. He is a believer of Jordan Love. He's all in, and thank God, because I mean, all their jobs could have been on the line for that. But I just think he's a really, really good coach. I'm really thankful that he's our coach. In fact, a lot of teams talk about our coach and wish they had someone like with Matt LaFleur. So I'm very thankful. I do think he's very loyal to his staff, which I do appreciate, because I'm kind of a loyal person. Like, you got to really mess up for me to like move on from that. You know what I mean? Same. And he believed in Joe Barry. And it's like, dude, once he kind of started taking over for Joe Barry, things started getting better. And then it's just like, oh yeah, now he's turned around. Like, look, this is the problem with Chicago, bro. They brought Eberflus back. Are you kidding me? Me?
I always said this about Joe Barry too. It's like the first 8 games of the season, you're just fucking mad. You want him fired, and then it's like the second half of the season, the last month of the season is like his 4 or 5 best games of the year, and you're like, well, shit. I called that Joe Barry season, because Joe Barry's coaching up to save his job, and then he would save his job. And then, I thought it was going to happen again, Trev. I thought for sure, I was like, Joe Barry, they made the playoffs. Like, they're going to keep Joe Barry. And then luckily, Matt, I think there was just so much outside noise, and they weren't improving. Like, how do you have all these first-round draft picks on that defense and it be as bad as it was at times, especially against the run? So I think Goody was like, hey, you ain't going to make me look bad, because I feel like I'm drafting right. So it's the scheme, but also at the same time, you got to draft to the scheme, or what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? You know what I mean? Are you drafting to fit the scheme, or are you drafting players and then the play? You know what I mean? Good coaches, though, find ways to make their players fit their scheme and to search, situations. And I don't think Joe Barry was doing it, and we don't have to worry about it no more because we got Mike Eflin is the new DC, right? Is that his name? Mike Eflin.
I think I forgot. But here's
may not be Mike, but it's definitely Eflin.
No, it's
Halflin. Yeah, Halflin. Yeah, Mike Halflin.
So anyways, here's the thing about the draft. I think, Nick, you got to kind of prepare yourself. Okay, we're not gonna go into the draft and go, wow.
We never do. Yeah, we never.
No, but if we picked up a it's like last year we were like, okay, we need a wide receiver, we need a tight end, we need you know what I mean? This one's going to be like, we're getting a safety, a middle linebacker, inside linebacker, and we're getting some O-line guys, and we're hoping to get a real stud cornerback or safety. Like, it's going to be mostly defense, which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy. And you're not gonna sit there and no one's gonna say, hey, the Packers got an A+. It's just gonna be a boring draft, and those guys are gonna sit in and make differences, and you're gonna be like, man, we drafted good again.
Yeah, listen. I mean, if you look at his last few drafts, now I don't know about Deontay Wyatt at times. He seems like he's not. I don't know, just for whatever. But I mean, Quay Walker is one of the best inside when he's got his head on straight. And he's not pushing, trainers and shit. He's one of the best middle linebackers in this league. So you got Quay Walker. That's a hit. He's hit on Jair Alexander is one of the best corners in this league. It took a while, but Rashawn Gary is an absolute stud. I think Lucas Van Ness can get there. It seems like Preston Smith's obviously, he's lighter. He's got more, more games in the rearview mirror than he does, going forward. So he's on the back end of his career. So I think he can, just take some time. They draft a lot for guys to come in and play later more than they are immediately. Like Rashawn Gary, it took Rashawn Gary 2 to 3 years really to get going. And now it's paid off for him.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I think that's something we have to think about, right? And we want instant success, instant gratification. The lights are bright. It's hard, it's a league of parity. This doesn't happen overnight. And there's too many of us, it's 1 year or 5 games. They're like, no, I'm done with them. And it's like, you can't view it that way. You can't view it that way. What I did like about the Wyatt move is I'm kind of at the stage, if you draft a kid from Georgia, I'm happy on defense, right? Draft the kids on defense. Those guys are ferocious, right? Yeah. So I like those kind of moves, but if Van Ness turns into Clay Matthews, oh my goodness, we hit the lottery, bro. We hit the lottery. Yeah. And I don't know if he will, but man, every time I watch him, I'm like, wow, is he Clay? Is he mini Clay right now? Is he, you know what I mean? You start thinking about that, and it gets me excited about next year. I hope that he's not just like Wyatt, where it's like he shows up maybe once every 2 games, where he does something special. I hope we get to a place where it's like Kenny Clark, where it's like, oh, people hate playing against him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we have to stop the run. I don't know what they got to do. I don't know who they got to draft, but we've got to stop the run. Because I like Campbell, but I don't think we stopped the run with Campbell. So
yeah, I agree.
It didn't bother me that he went.
No, and he's getting up there too. Trev, I want to ask you real quick. You mentioned the Super Bowl, the Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl being your favorite Super Bowl all time. What's your lowlights of being a Packers fan? Like the time they maybe ripped the heart out of you.
Yeah, I think that when we lost to the Buccaneers, when it's right before half, it's like whatever Scotty you do, Miller. don't let Scotty Miller get behind you, right?
Yeah, Scoot Miller scored a huge touchdown on us. Yeah.
That was really disheartening because we were there and we were better, and then they earned it, right? I thought we were winning the Super Bowl that year. That was really difficult. The other year was I was pretty low after the 49ers stomped us, and Mostert had 220 rushing yards against us. Those were pretty low moments because I felt like our teams were really good, and they absolutely exposed our weaknesses there. And that's why, like, give Tom Brady credit, right? And give their coaching staff credit, because who was it? Was it King? No, it was, who's the cornerback? Because I made a video on it. Who's to blame for that loss? And I'm like, it was
Desmond King. It was Desmond King.
Yeah, it was King. And I'm like, that guy blew it. That guy absolutely blew it. He had one job. I don't even care if he got a first down. They kicked a field goal. You let him get behind you, and Brady chucked it up. And what a touchdown by them. So that was really, like, I was really low after that. I'm not an up and down real, like, my family jokes around that I get into sports depression. I don't know if you're like that, but like my wife says to my kids, okay, Dad, the Packers lost, kids. And I'm talking like playoffs. It's not just regular season, right? Mm-hmm. Guys, Packers lost. You need to give Dad some time. And it's not like I'm angry or anything like that. I'm just down. I'm down because, like, I put a lot into this, and that, like, I'm not even on the field, man. None of my kids are even playing in that, right? So, it's not that, it's not my life. It's not my life, but I just really enjoy it, and I get into it.
Yeah, my two lowlights. I think my first one is the Super Bowl loss to the Denver Broncos. I was in the 5th grade that year, and I remember this. I stayed the night at my cousin's house to watch the game, and all I packed, Trev, was my Packers gear, right? Like, I mean, the Reggie White jersey actually hanging up in the back here. That jersey, I had, like, you know, the windbreaker Packer pants or whatever. Like, that's all I packed. Like, hey, I'm gonna win. We're gonna win this Super Bowl. I'm gonna walk to school tomorrow. I'm gonna be swagged out in all my Packers gear. You know, Super Bowl champs. And, well, we lose the game, and then all I heard at school all day was, they lost, right? They lost, right? Ha ha. So that one in the Seattle game, when we're in Seattle, we had like a 21-point lead in the NFC Championship game, and we just blew it. Mike McCarthy refused to run the ball. Then the ball, Bostic, he touches the ball. We blow that. Seattle goes and plays the Patriots in the Super Bowl and loses to Tom Brady in the Butler game. So we never got that Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl that was robbed from us. So those are probably my two lowlights at that point in time. I think Brett Favre's last game when they played the Giants as well.
Yeah, that hurt.
In the NFC Championship game. Probably my two lowlights.
But I mean, that did suck. I mean, it is what it is. But because we're right there, we should be in the Super Bowl. We should be winning. We should have had 3 or 4 Super Bowls with Rodgers, and I think that's what stings. But man, like that pass from Rodgers to Rodgers against Detroit, I've watched that 1,000 times. I'm like, how did he do that? The pass to Jared Cook on the sideline.
Yeah, Jared Cook in the Cowboys game. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I lost the Dez Bryant, didn't catch it a million times. I still conclude he didn't catch it according to the rules. Nowadays it's a catch. Fine.
I said it was a catch then. I say it's a catch now.
Well, it was now.
I said it was a catch then. Even then, I text my buddy who's a big Cowboys fan, said, hey, that's whatever. A catch.
But the point is,
but I'm glad he wasn't. I'm glad they ruled. I viewed it as this. If you're out in the backyard with your homies and you're playing football, he caught the ball.
Yeah.
You know
true.
What I mean?
Fact. And I hate that rule because of that Calvin Johnson one where he caught it and put the ball down. And he's that doesn't count. It's like, that's garbage, man. This guy's so ultra talented. So I'm so glad the rule got changed after Dez didn't catch it, right? So So we've had so many great moments. Like Aaron Rodgers, just watching him, he's my favorite player of all time, Green Bay Packers players. I've never, like, I'm sitting there and like, man, I would watch game after game and go, this guy is special. Like the way he threw the ball, the accuracy. I think my favorite thing about Aaron Rodgers was we were always in games because he never turned the ball over. He was the best. Well, no one's going to break that record, in my opinion, of his.
And when you come from Brett Favre, and I said Brett Favre, I love Brett Favre, but Brett Favre won as many games as he lost us. Like, because there wasn't ever a throw that he didn't think he could make, and he was that gunslinger. 3 guys in there, I can you know what I mean? Throw it across my body. I'll throw it 3 guys, downfield, even though I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so when you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, who is the most protective, of the football and could pinpoint it and put it where only his guys would get it, 2 totally different styles of way they played. Trev, let me ask you this real quick. Give me your top 5 greatest Green Bay Packers, like past and now present.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is my number 1. Reggie White's my number 2. And I love those guys. They're like heads above everyone else. Charles Woodson would be up there.
Yeah, I love Charles.
But I don't know who I would go here. But I'm 4 and 5 are definitely Devontae Adams and Jordy Nelson. And I don't know which one. I just think they were both fantastic. Those are 2 guys. But if I say that, okay, so that's the problem, because I want to say like guys like Gilbert Brown, and I want to say, guys like that, like Clay Matthews, love Clay Matthews.
AJ Hawk.
AJ Hawk. Yeah, I mean, I liked him, but I mean, when you talk about Clay Matthews and AJ Hawk, it's kind of like a tear down, right? So, but like Donald Driver and Amon Green and all those guys, right? Just like, but Aaron Jones would be in that conversation as well, because I just loved, I mean, McCarthy not starting him, ridiculous. I don't get it. Like, how even we are not even like, I've never been a general manager. I've never been a coach of an NFL team. And he's like, you just watch him like, dude, you got to get this guy on the field, right? So
yeah.
So that would be my past. Okay, my past. I wish I could use Aaron Jones as my present, but I can't. So, so my present, well, I'll use Aaron Jones. I'll put him number 5 for my present. Okay,
I'll allow it.
Okay, but so now, I top 5 now. I mean, it would have been Aaron Jones if you asked me last week, Aaron Jones. But I love Jordan Love, man. I'm falling in love with Love. I'm just saying that right now. This is hard because I love Davion Wicks, man.
I do too.
He's special. He's special. I think it's going to be McKinney, bro. I think McKinney's going to be in my top 5 after this season, because I think he's special and elite as well. I love Jair. I just don't like some of his antics.
I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and then who could I do after? I mean, I'm a huge Christian Watson fan, bro. I'm a huge Christian Watson fan, so I got to have him there too. So I may have gave you 6 by accident, but that's why I love this team. There's so many good players. There's so many good players. No, Quay Walker's got to be in there too. So okay, I'm taking out some of those other guys. I'm putting in Quay Walker. He's got to be in my top 3. Sorry, I mean, if you would have given me time, I would have prayed about it and gotten back to you. I'm just kidding. I'm just so excited about this roster. I think Quay Walker, okay, let's just talk about Quay Walker for just 1 second. Quay Walker, not only is he skilled and quick and smart, but with the things that he failed at, everyone wanted to write him off, and I'm not that kind of a guy. And I'm like, you know what? He's a young man, and he's made some mistakes, and we need to believe in people. We need to give people second chances, and even for him, it would have been a 3rd chance, right? And you know what? Yeah. They never talked one time about any kind of conduct with him. He was phenomenal, Nick. He was lights out. His movement from side to side is actually quite special, and people don't call it enough. Now, didn't he get was it a fumble recovery, a pick 6 against the Bears in week 1? Like things like that. Like, he can do crazy stuff. And I don't think he gets enough credit. So I'm a huge Quay Walker fan. And here's the funny thing, Nick. I was mad when we drafted him, but I don't know jack about some of these teams and who's good. Like, I thought it was the other linebacker for Georgia that was awesome, and I was wrong. And my friend was like, "No, Quay Walker's the guy you want." I'm like, "Really?" And all of a sudden, I'm like, "Wow, he's good." So I love
really
Quay Walker.
He's good.
Good. I don't even know who I could say my number 1 is for my team right now. I just think I love all 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of them, and I just told you so.
Rev, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but we're back at the end of the show here. At the end of each Sunday show, I give out a turd of the week and a dog of the week. So turd is something that's really bad throughout the sports week. Dog is obviously something that's really good. So do you got it? I know I'm just springing it on to you, but if I'll go first to give you a time to think about your turd, and I'll go first.
Already got it.
Dog. You got the turd? You want to go ahead? I'll go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I'm going the Chicago Bears trading Justin Fields for a 6th round pick. That is absolutely ridiculous, crazy. You waited too long to trade him. That is terrible return. You should have got a 3rd and a 2nd for him, or a 2nd for him. I think that's the worst thing that could have happened to Chicago. I'm glad they did that because that means they're going to suck again. But listen, that's my turd of the week.
So Trev's turd of the week is none other than Ryan Poles. I like it. My turd of the week is the NCAA Men's Selection Committee. I don't know how you don't have Indiana State in this. They were ranked at one point in the country. Are you telling me that Indiana State is not one of the best 64 teams in the nation? Really, like 66 teams, because that's how it is this year anymore. And you couldn't find a spot for Indiana State, who has not been to the tournament since Larry Legend was suiting up for Indiana State. We needed to see Mr. Kareem himself, Abdul-Jabbar, a.k.a. that's C with a C-R-A-M, Kareem, out there for Indiana State. So the NCAA Men's Selection Committee, who couldn't find a way to get Indiana State, who they did lose their in their tournament, the Missouri Valley, but they finished 2nd, felt like they should have got in. Indiana State should have. So Indiana State should have been in. So the NCAA Men's Selection Committee is my turd of the week. Trev, you got a dog of the week?
That one's a hard one. I'll let you go first on that one.
All right. So
I like it when you do this.
That's what she said. My dog of the week is none other than Duquesne, baby. Duquesne won the Atlantic Conference Championship today and going to the tournament for the first time since 1977. That's right. Duquesne is my dog of the week for going dancing, baby, winning their tournament and punching their ticket to the NCAA for the first time since 1977.
I'm going to stick with the NFL. I'm going to say just because of what happened, I think getting McKinney was massive. I think he's a difference maker. I think he's elite. He's 24 years old. I don't care how much money we spent on him, bro. If you've seen how many times he broke open a game for the Giants last year, and he's in a better system with better coaching, with better players, I think the future's bright. So I'm walking with McKinney. I'm pumped. I'm excited. I can't wait to watch him in the green and gold.
Hey, I like it, Trev. Obviously, we'll be rooting for him on Sundays this coming year. I know without the draft, and before we get you out of here, what's your early prediction just right now for Green Bay? Where do you think they finish?
I think we win the NFC North, so we get a home playoff game, and then I don't know from there. And it's not that I don't like the Lions, and I do think the Bears are going to be better. And I think if the Vikings end up getting a quarterback, and I'm not talking about J.J. McCarthy, but I'm talking about an actual quarterback. If they get a quarterback, they're going to be good too. So I don't say that in any disrespectful way to anyone in the NFC North. I just think just with our improvements, where we're weak, with all that extra experience, that we're going to win the North. And then after that, I'm not sure. I think March is too early to give you like we're winning the Super Bowl or we're going to the NFC championship game. I do think we're winning the North, and that's my March prediction for you.
Hey, I appreciate it, Trev. Trev, go ahead and let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so if you go to TikTok, YouTube, X and Facebook. I'm on RevTrevNFL. And also, I just launched a video this weekend called In Goot We Trust. You got to check that out. It's really well done. And just talking about the draft, the history, just where he's leading this team. And check that out. It's on all those platforms. Actually, it's not on TikTok because they only do they don't let me stream there yet. But go to YouTube or Instagram or Facebook to watch that.
Hey, everybody check out my guy, Rev Trev. This is the first time a reverend has been on the show. This is what football does for people. It brings people together. You got a reverend and a foul-mouthed kid, foul-mouthed guy who drops the F-bomb quite frequently on the program. And we come together, we put it all aside, and we talk great things. We talk our Packers, we talk football, and enjoy life. Rev, it has been a pleasure. First time a reverend's been on the program. So, bless us. Thank you for that. And thank you for everything that you do. Folks, I'll be back on the LTS show tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. We are having our March Madness extravaganza. Me and the boys are going to fill out a bracket together. Plus, we're going to sit down and figure out some betting aspects as far as, hey, the loser of our bracket. If you haven't noticed, I tweeted it out on X, and it's on my Facebook and everything else. Get into our March Madness bracket. Winner will win some money. Me and the boys are also going to be putting some side bets in against each other. Whoever finishes last is going to have to do something. We don't know what. So we'll discuss that tomorrow. Be a friend. Tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. For the one and only Rev Trev, Packers' most optimistic fan. I mean, this guy, I love you, Trev. You brought the energy today like nobody else's business. This has been another great episode of the BodkinShow. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you tomorrow night back on the LTS network, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern for our March Madness extravaganza. I'm going to hit that outro. We'll see you tomorrow night, baby.